Good morning, everybody. We're back for another virtual reading event. Today we have with us Dr. Tabatha Spurlock. And as always, we've got Adrienne Barr in the midst as well. So welcome back for another great day of reading. Shout out to our co-sponsors, Alamance Achieves, Future Alamance, Allied Churches of Alamance County, Elena and Jane Books, Furnace Chapel Christian Church, the Kia Foundation, WNCC Western District Social Action Commission, Genesis Child Development Center, and This Woman's Words. Today's literacy resource highlight is one of our co-sponsors. It's Alamance Achieves. And so I want to encourage you to go to Alamance Achieves website. They have all kinds of helpful resources. They also have links to other literacy options and other literacy resources as well. Their staff is doing amazing work around education and equity and all types of things in Alamance County. So if you are an Alamance County parent, caretaker, child, or someone just interested in the education system here, I encourage you to reach out to Alamance Achieves or at least check out their website to learn more about the work that they are doing. And again, that's Alamance Achieves. Shout out to Tyrona Hooker and to Lexi Roberts, who are part of that amazing team and who have been wonderful in helping me pull these literacy resource highlights together over the last several weeks. Okay. And with that being said, we have Dr. Tabatha Spurlock.
Good morning, everyone.
So I'm going to introduce Tabatha to everybody right quick, and then we're going to jump into her book, A Promise is a Promise. And as you can see, Dr. Spurlock is very excited. I'm barely awake, but she got all the energy for all of us right now, okay? So
It's the educator in me. I have to stay ready.
I appreciate that. Dr. Tabatha M.W. Spurlock is the best-selling author of a #1 new release children's book titled A Promise is a Promise. After a traumatic accident in 2016 changed her life, she decided to share that experience and begin a dialogue about parental guilt. In addition to 15 years of experience as an educator, her extensive professional background includes serving as a certified life and business coach, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and leader in the community. She's an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Links Incorporated. As a professional mentor and motivational speaker, she is interested in serving others and inspiring them to live their best life. Her personal motto and name of her life empowerment company is Empower One, Inspire Many. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Spurlock.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You know, when you hear people talk about you, you're like, I did all of that. I guess I did. Thank you for the accolades. And the irony of today is that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I didn't realize it until this week as I was preparing for today. And as you mentioned in my bio, I was in a really bad accident, a traumatic accident, October 2016. And this book came about because I was dealing with PTSD, anxiety, and depression as a result of that accident, and then mommy guilt, because I made a promise to my daughter. So this is a story that happened. And of course, we left some of the gory details out, not to, freak out our audience with being too traumatic to the level that the accident was, but to just give them an idea of what took place and how my daughter Kennedy handled the situation. So let's jump right into it. A promise is a promise. And this book is dedicated to my daughter, Kennedy Elise. Kennedy was so excited about her upcoming family trip that she checked the calendar a million times. Each day, she was a tad bit closer. Her parents had promised her a dream vacation to her favorite place in the whole wide world. In her family, they never broke a promise until mom came home from work with a brace on her leg. So here's my Princess Kennedy. She's in her room, just sitting at her desk at the computer, and you can see all her stuffed animals and princess house in the back. So she clearly loves princesses. Mom, what happened? Kennedy yelled. I was in an accident today. My leg is broken. So imagine coming home and seeing your mom sitting in the chair with her ankle and leg wrapped. And you can see the look on her mom's face. She's worried, right? Kennedy immediately ran to her mom to give her a big hug. Mommy, Are you going to be okay? Kennedy cried out. You can see the fear on her face. And usually when I'm in the classroom, I usually ask students, or those of you who are able to respond in the chat, which I can't see right now, but I ask them questions like, do you think she's happy? Is she sad? What type of emotions is going through Kennedy's mind right now? How is she feeling? How is her mom feeling? As tears rolled down her mother's face, she replied, yes, Kennedy, I'm going to be okay. I feel better now that you're home. I do have some bad news, though. Kennedy looks shocked. She doesn't know what to expect. She doesn't know what's going to come next. We know we promised, but we will not be able to go to Princess Fairyland this year. And as you can see, her mom didn't seem too thrilled about sharing that disappointing news. And you can see it in her mom's face. She feels disappointed, like she let her child down. And a lot of us, we've been in this pandemic for over a year now. And I know some of us were excited about planning lavish birthday parties and having nice celebrations and maybe a family reunion during the summer, just any event. And we haven't been able to do that. So sometimes you have promises on the table and there may be a delay. So a delay is not a denial. So I want y'all to pick that up, okay? But Kennedy, you'll pick up on her personality. Kennedy pleaded, but Mom, I really wanted to go. You and Dad promised. It wasn't a just you and Dad promised. It was you promised in all caps. She meant what she said. A promise was a promise, and that's all she knew. I'm sorry, Kennedy. It will take 2 months for me to be out of my wheelchair. As soon as I can walk again, we will pick back up with our planning. So Kennedy is sad. You can see it on her face. And her mom is trying to do the best she can. She's like, I mean, I wanted to, but life happens. Yeah, I just couldn't. But then Kennedy starts to think, she's like, okay. She had her brief moment, but she was like, aha, I got you, Mom. I got a plan. So look at this. So Kennedy's thinking, she's a thinker. So she says, what if I push you through the park in your wheelchair? Yeah, it'll be lots of fun. I really want to go. And I also told my friends I was going, Kennedy said. Now, that last part, how many of us feel obligated when we tell other people we're going to do something and then something happens beyond our control and we can't do it? We look like a fool, right? And so it's just like, how can I go back to my friends after I've already, hyped them up and I said, oh, I'm going to Princess Fairyland during winter break. And now my mom gets hurt and comes back to me to say, we're not going. She couldn't fathom going back to school to tell her friends otherwise. I know you are excited about going, and I'm very sorry. I'm sure your friends will understand. It's not your fault. Life happens. That's what her mom said as Kennedy ran to her room. Typical response from a kid. How many of you, I know we have some adults here, maybe some children listening, but how many of you were upset as a child and you got mad because a promise didn't come through? You got upset and you just ran off. Yeah, Adrian, life happens to all of us and we don't know how we may respond until we're in that moment. But it is okay. But her mom made sure to assure her that it was not her fault. So she didn't have to feel shameful that the trip didn't happen. So after she ran to her room, Kennedy laid down on her bed and began to cry. I really wanted to go to Princess Fairyland to see the princesses, Kennedy shouted. Typical response, kids shout. I don't know about your household, but growing up shouting, yeah, you could have gotten a mixed response. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. Yeah, you just don't know. But because, mom couldn't get up, mom just had to listen from afar and allow Kennedy to have her moment. But again, remember, Kennedy is a thinker. It's like, okay, I cried, I ran to my room, I shouted a little bit, but now what do I do? Because she really wanted to go to Princess Fairyland. So I'll tell you what she did next. Kennedy decided to create a Princess Fairyland vision board. Over the next few months, she made a list of all of the princesses and characters she wanted to see when her dream vacation would happen. She wanted to keep her dream alive. So here's little Miss Kennedy at her desk on the computer, Googling, searching for different princesses. So we've been in this virtual space. So I don't know about you, but how many of you have ever created a vision board? Yes, we all have. So we want to be able to see it. It's not like it's something that's going to happen tomorrow or today or maybe next month, but we're going to see it happen 3 months from now, 6 months from now. So that goal is still there. So Kennedy wanted to make sure that that dream vacation stayed on the table. She heard what her mom said, but she wanted to make sure that whoever walked into her bedroom, they saw it. So if they didn't know, mom knew, okay, hey, mom, we're going to Princess Fairyland one day or another, okay? So as Kennedy was working on her vision board, here comes mom. Kennedy, guess what? Her mom said with excitement. Kennedy replied, what, mom? Kennedy was bracing herself for the okie doke. She's like, okay, what is it that you want now? Okay. Her mom yelled, we're going to Princess Fairyland. Now, I told you all Kennedy was a thinker. So Kennedy thought about it for a second. Mom, are you sure this time? You promise? Her mom yelled, yes, I promise. So look at her mom. Her mom's excited and couldn't wait to share the awesome news. And as you can see, the brace is gone. Mom was a lot better. So she was healed and ready to take Kennedy to Princess Fairyland. Now, when Kennedy heard the disappointing news, her emotions were all over the place. She cried, she yelled, she shouted, she ran. But now, look at this photo. She's full of excitement. She's so happy, like a kid in the candy store. Kennedy began to jump up and down. She ran around the room screaming, yes, we're going to Princess Fairyland. We're going to Fairyland. She was so excited. So what did she do? She grabbed her calendar. Remember, she had her vision board, she had her calendar. So she grabbed her calendar, marked the new date to hold them all accountable. This is the day that we're going. And began to tell her mom about the ideas she found online. So here's her calendar. So if you don't have a calendar, you may want to get it. Get a calendar. And as Kennedy, you see she circled Fairyland, here we come. She circled the date so it will be clear. So she can count down and still be excited. So she took things a step further. She was ready. She pulled out the tiara. Those are probably my heels right there that she probably got from my room. You see the little makeup purse. I'm sure a few of those items came from my room as well. And she has her mirror and she's just ready to go. Kennedy was so happy and excited that she played dress up every day with the princess costumes in her closet until it was time for the family trip. Today is the day they're heading to Princess Fairyland. So here is the suitcase ready to go. Today is the day. Fairyland, here we come. So how many of you have ever been on an airplane? Yeah, oh my goodness. So that's something you can put on your vision board. So if you want to, go somewhere, you have to start telling people. So for the students that are watching, tell your parents. If you've never been on a plane, I didn't ride on my first plane until I was in my early 20s. And I went on a business trip for work. And my mom, unfortunately, she's never been on a plane. So we have it on our vision board one day to get her on a plane. But a part of that is fear. So we'll help her overcome that fear. But Fairyland, here we come. Kennedy was ready. As you can see, she had her cute dress that matched her suitcase, her sunglasses, the headband. We're in the airport. So she's checking off. Airport, check. Lunch with princesses. No check yet. Between the clouds, she sat there on the plane, looked out the window occasionally, had her headphones on. And those of you who have been on the plane, they bring you snacks and water, and you can bring your own snacks and stuff. So she had her own little setup going. And then her parents, her dad and I, we all had on our shades, and we call it shades on a plane. And we were headed to Princess Fairyland. So that's our thing, like in real life. We always wear shades when we travel, and we hashtag shades on the plane. They landed safely, hopped in an Uber, and shortly arrived at their 5-star resort. Kennedy felt like she was on top of the world when she saw the huge pool with a slide. She could even order room service all day if she wanted. So here we were greeted, and we actually did stay at a 5-star resort, and Kennedy was just so excited walking into the grand entrance of the room. It was a perfect day, as you can see. Her parents, they made it to the park. She loves her mom and dad. So her family changed clothes to wear pink and black Princess Fairyland design t-shirts that said Mom, Dad, and Kennedy, and they were off to the park. So how many of you have ever been to an amusement park or a circus? And you get really excited, or even like a birthday party, and you wear matching t-shirts and you think you're like really cool because your name is on it, or like, a family reunion shirt where everyone is together so they can identify this family belongs together. They were greeted by a photographer upon arrival. They had a family picture taken in front of the Princess Fairyland sign. So that's the picture I just showed you. So if you've never been to like King's Dominion or Busch Gardens or Water Country or was it Carowin down in North Carolina, Carowinds? We've been there before. So they usually have a photographer at the entrance greeting you, ready to take your photo. And then sometimes you purchase the pictures and sometimes you forget all about it and take your own pictures, but they're there, they're ready. Kennedy's mom then handed out wristbands to each of them for entry onto the rides. So that's another thing. When you visit amusement parks, even the circus, they give you a wristband to acknowledge that you're supposed to be there. Sometimes you can upgrade to VIP, and that may have another color. And that just means if you're in an amusement park, you can cut the line and like go through the VIP entrance. So sometimes it's worth it to splurge a little bit. Oh, wow. Kennedy yelled with excitement, Princess Lena, Princess Maria, Princess Soraya. This is so awesome. Kennedy skipped through the park in awe as she noticed each character. She ran up to each one to give them a big hug. Now, as you all watch these pictures, this is a real experience. We went to Disney World one time, and she saw Princess Sophia, and she got so excited, she bypassed the line, and she was only like maybe 4. And she ran up to her and gave her a hug. And being the mom that I am, I had my camera on ready because after she got her hug, they were like, oh, you got to get in line. But at that point, I already had my picture. So we were good. We didn't have to wait in line for another hour. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Got it? Cool. So Kennedy, come with me, her mom said. Kennedy had this puzzled look on her face as they walked into a castle. Surprise, her mom shouted. They received a warm, friendly greeting as their reservation was confirmed at check-in for their fairy tale dining experience at the Fairyland Magic Table. For the next 2 hours, Kennedy took pictures with princesses and enjoyed a magical dining experience as they sat next to stained glass windows overlooking the park. Kennedy hugged and chatted with every princess who visited their table. Her mom took plenty of pictures and videos so she would remember that day for the rest of her life. And this really did happen. Remember when I said you can splurge on the tickets and the wristbands? Well, I did. I splurged, and I paid for us to have a reservation for this dining experience where she could take pictures with all the princesses, and they did visit the table. So she got individual pictures. They were able to autograph her, I think it was her menu at the time, because they had a children's menu and adult menu. The night was coming to an end, and it was time for her family to Uber back to the resort. Kennedy looked at her mom and said, Mom, I had the best time of my life. Thank you for my dream vacation. Her mom replied, You're welcome, Kennedy. I'm glad you had a great time. Remember, a promise is a promise. And this is them departing Princess Fairyland and Kennedy and her mom hugging it out. The end.
I think that's a really great book. And I was actually in the comments talking about vision boards and calendars and how, we don't really talk about them for children. So it's really
Right.
dope how you incorporated that in there. And, you have the whole life coach empowerment model going. So it makes perfect sense. So I am going to yield to Adrienne because I know she got some questions, child.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You know how I feel about your book. I love it. And I appreciate the title in its simplicity and just how, as adults we'll make promises to kids and, sometimes they fall through and for various reasons. And, sometimes we can come on right back and, hold our promises. Right. So I love that, you spread that message there. Now, did Kennedy help you with the book at all? Because I know she's right there. She's a very, very bright and active kid. So I'm curious to know how much help did she
She is, and believe it or not, it was like hit and miss. When we got to the part about the princesses, that's when she got excited, and those are actually her friends' names. So we wanted to personalize it from that standpoint, but she really didn't. She didn't want to sit down. And of course, I wrote the book in the midst of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of in this awkward space. And for me to avoid going back to that depressive state and dealing with the anxiety, I'm like, okay, perfect timing. Everything is shut down. Now I can think clearly. Let me just write. So at the time, I extended the invitation to her, and it was just hit and miss. But then when she didn't, take hold of it, I said it's okay because that's the element of surprise. So what I did was I went back to the pictures from our actual trip that we took. And that's where the visualizations, came in. So she really did show up at the airport with her matching attire, with her dress and tiara and her passport in her hand. She's had a passport since the age of 4, and she was ready to go. And it was just a grand experience. And we really did sit there and look, through the stained glass windows. We had like the perfect seat in the house. And because her personality just exuded in her excitement, she made sure to engage with every princess that came to the table. So while she didn't embrace the writing experience in that moment a year ago when I was writing, the whole experience, had she not been the person that she was, we wouldn't have been able to bring the story to life in the manner that we did.
Gotcha. How does she feel now that the book it hits different when you actually have a finished product?
Right.
So I'm curious to know how your baby felt after she could actually hold it and feel it in her hand.
So, okay. You're pulling a surprise out of me. We have some news that's coming related to Kennedy. And I will just say that Kennedy is into acting. And over the years, we've had some auditions. And recently, we've had some new developments. So now we're in the space where the character is truly coming alive. And while she didn't see it then, here's the business coach, teacher, and mommy that I am. It's like, hey, if you want to be in this space, you're the main character in this book. So what a great way to embrace it. So it's just the timing of how kids are. And I never want to, as a mom, put her into a position where she's forced to do something. Mm-hmm. Although we see greatness in our kids and, we want to map out these plans for her, even down to like sports. We would dibble and dabble. We did soccer one time. We know soccer doesn't work. Gymnastics one season, that didn't work. Cheerleading, it's just like, hey, let's just explore some things. So she didn't come to me to say, hey, I want to write a book, although she's, been an avid reader in the past. But now, because of her future aspirations, I think you all will see the book come to life through Kennedy's eyes and her experience. So stay tuned for Miss Kennedy Unleashed.
Okay, I'm excited, and I'm gonna put myself on mute because I'm nosy and I'll ask a whole bunch of questions. So I won't.
Yes.
I appreciate the fact that Adrienne's so self-aware. That's good. So what about you? Do you have plans to write more books?
I do. And when I wrote this book and I was working with my publisher, who was amazing, and I told her I wanted to have a series. So I wanted to talk about the different emotions and the different stages we went through, connecting it back to the recovery. But since launching the book last September, I've kind of, I'm in two different spaces. So the series is still on the table, but there are other messages related to my background and being the educator for almost 20 years. I started the Boys and Girls Club and then went into K-12. Taught on the collegiate level as adjunct faculty, and now I'm back teaching business on the middle school level. So there are different messages that may not relate to my personal story where I began this journey, that I'm like, okay, now that I'm in this author space, I've been, an entrepreneur for years as a life coach and having some, merch and stuff on my website and all that. But it's just put me in a different space. So now I'm like, okay, those messages and the lessons that I've taught students over the years, now I can share that through a children's book that may not be directly connected to our series, our Mommy and Me series with this book, but books that students can, and families and parents and educators can relate to and have those honest conversations. Because in my family growing up, I'll be honest, I'm the oldest of three, and my mom was a single parent. My parents were married, but they were divorced and separated. And I thought about this. I started with a focus on, the mommy guilt and my child. However, I'm starting to have conversations with adults about promises. And it made me think about when I was young and my dad was in Maryland, we were in Virginia, and I wanted to see him. And then a few times he'd say, well, I'll be there, I'll see you on Friday. And I'm sitting at the door looking out the window and I'm waiting. Friday came and went and he never showed up. And it's like, okay, well, not this Friday, but I'll come 2 Fridays from now, or whatever the case may have been. I just remember feeling disappointed that I stopped asking. And I literally waited until I was 16, had my license, and then got my first car. And instead of waiting for him to come visit me, I just would go to Maryland and visit him. And that's just what we did. But there are a lot of, like I said, with the events, because my nephew, who is 7, was really excited last year about having this grand birthday party, and he couldn't because it was like a few weeks into the pandemic. But there are other ways that children and adults have been disappointed in the past with empty promises, and especially in the midst of the pandemic. So that social emotional part that a lot of students and adults, we even deal with it too. So I think it's definitely a conversation that needs to be on the table, and a lot of families just aren't having those conversations. But sometimes a book can be an entryway to opening the door to have those relevant conversations of what's going on in that moment, and everyone acknowledging their feelings and being okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to shout. And once you get it all out, now let's come back to what the root of the issue is. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that promises are important. And I think that sometimes we say things to people and don't expect them to hold on to it, or don't expect them to hold on to it the way that they do. And that can cause all kinds of issues for children who then become adults and they've never dropped that issue, so they're still carrying it, and that governs how they interact with other people. So promises are very important. Honesty is important about promises as well.
Yeah.
And so you talked about a few things in the book, like accountability, and vision boards, goals, and I want you to talk to our viewers about how that's important, not just for adults, because we that's been the wave recently, right, for everybody around New Year's, but also for kids, and how those types of things are important.
Sometimes when we don't have what we need, and I'm going to take possibly the scenic route to get to the answer to your question. I'll use myself as an example. Growing up, single family home, we grew up in the hood. We were in the projects. But I knew life beyond my neighborhood. And it was because I had mentors as I got older who showed me different aspects of life. And I knew that, okay, one day I can be a homeowner. One day, I can travel beyond, and our running joke in our area is Virginia Beach. Like if you went to Virginia Beach, like that was a place to go, you were the stuff. But now we're able to travel to places where the water is so blue and clear that you just have different experiences and different expectations But it's, you just have to be able to see things in the future, and not from a disappointing standpoint where you say you want things, even like for children. They could say, they want this big gift for Christmas. I say that. And they say, I have this on my wish list. And then if they don't get it, then they're disappointed. So the example that I had this conversation with my students a few months ago because of the pandemic, and a lot of them wanted the latest PlayStation. I think it's PS5. And we know from articles we've seen, a lot of parents stood in line for hours. A lot of parents who sit in line still couldn't get it because people were buying them and then, selling them, marking the price up, so families couldn't afford them. So what I shared with my students was, yeah, your parents may have promised it, but we go back to a delay is not a denial, because there were circumstances beyond their control where the effort was there. They were searching online. They were standing in lines, literally, and it just didn't happen. So although you didn't get the PS5 for Christmas, it doesn't mean you may not have it by the summertime. And when things are back to some, sense of normalcy, but going back to the vision board, put it on the vision board, put it on the refrigerator. So they have no choice. Every time they go in to get a glass of water, get something to eat, is like, gotta get that PS5. Gotta get that PS5. And then if they have, the vision board, and then they can have their plan and the goal. And we can also go down an entrepreneurship road, because if you want the kids to be invested in these high ticket items, whether it's a trip, is a gift or something. And we're in that space now with Kennedy and her developments to come, because when they're part of the process, they own it. And then by them owning it, they can actually take more care of the item if it's a material thing, or like the trip. So with Kennedy's excitement, using her as an example, the anticipation of going, it built up by her, doing her research. And this is something, she was too young to really do that. So that's where we just kind of added a different spin to the book, to, encourage our students to add that vision board part. Because she didn't know about one then, but she knows about one now. So anything that she wants on the table, knowing she's used her passport a few times, she's like, oh, when are we going to go to, Mexico again or wherever? And I'm just like, hey, let's put it on the vision board. Let's create one. Let's map out the expenses of it. And if there are things that she can do, maybe chores around the home, hey, let's create a chore chart. So for every item you complete, that's money going into your account. So, sometimes they have, lofty goals. And even as adults, we're like, okay, we've been sitting at home for a year. I want to go to somebody's island for like a whole week. And, hey, until we get to the planning stage and do the research of the costs and all that, everything that's associated, it may be on the vision board for a couple of years. So we may have to, I don't like to use the word settle, but we may have to go to Virginia Beach, which is where we went this year for spring break, just something in the interim to keep the excitement going, but have the big goal still on the table. And as you remember, Kennedy circled the date when her mom came back to her. So in the event something happened again, we can say, okay, let's go back to the calendar. Let's have a conversation about what's taking place, process our emotions, and then see what's a more realistic time frame to go.
So I like how you talk about delay not being denial, because I think that when we talk about disappointment, our disappointment comes as children and as adults from putting all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, or being very committed to something happening on our time, and always accepting that our time isn't really what predicts or causes or makes anything necessary. So I do appreciate that you tell us to keep those things in mind for the future, and not to give up on them. They can still happen. It just might not happen when you want them to. And I think COVID has taught a lot of people that, and some of them, are still being drugged by the idea that they have to have things happen right now. And I think COVID is letting us all know that we don't really control when and how things happen. So I do appreciate that. Now I'm going to ask Adrian this question. I apologize in advance, Dr. Tab. Okay. Adrian, do you have any more questions?
Oh, okay, girl, I got scared. Don't do me like that.
Right, me too. I'm like, okay, I'm standing right, like, okay.
I didn't want to set you up for like 15 more questions and be like, I'm
where can we connect with you on social media? And I know that you mentioned merch earlier, and those who know me know that I love me some merch. I do have my A Promise is a Promise t-shirt in 2 colors for me and Leah. Yay!
Awesome.
So yeah, where can we follow you? How can we get some of the merch?
Okay, so my website is empower1inspiremany.com. My IG handle and page is the same thing, empower1inspiremany. And then my email address is empower1inspiremany@gmail.com. So just think empower one, inspire many. And that phrase came, I own it. It is a registered trademark. And it popped in my mind when I became a career switcher. And I went from the Boys and Girls Club in 2005 to being a classroom teacher for the first time. And me being this young, vibrant teacher, I was like, oh, I can save all these babies. And by the end of my first year, I was like, girl, you tripping. Like, no. With the population that I was working with at the time, inner city, well, it was a county, but in the eastern part of the county, and those students, had some challenges, but I could relate to them because of my background and where I grew up. So some of them lived in neighborhoods that I lived in growing up. So although on the surface they couldn't tell, once I established that relationship with them and I could relate to them in certain ways, that trust formed, and sort of like, okay, we're in a good space. So I concluded that I will empower one. Every class I teach, every speaking engagement I have, every webinar I facilitate, at least one will get it. Everything I'm trying to, extend to them, teach them, and the others will be empowered. So, be inspired. So empower one, inspire many. And I've had students over the years come back to me. They didn't get it then, but when they became an adult and we're connected on social media, they say, thank you for those, interview tips you share with me through your business classes, because I just got a new job or I'm preparing for a job. So I figured, okay, empowering one, it may seem small to some people, but if I'm teaching every day, that's several classes a day for 5 days a week. So I'm impacting a lot of students. So I just want to make sure, I empower one, inspire many, and so that I wouldn't feel defeated as an educator.
And then also, when you inspire that one person, like you're just not inspiring that one person, because they're going to take those nuggets and that love and that attention that you gave them, and they're going to, shift that to other people in their lives, or other people that they see might need the same thing. So, thank you for sharing that message. I'm sure we could all do a little bit more of that goodness.
You're welcome. And it hit me like it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So, what a great way to culminate, the week for me to be here, to have this conversation with you all. And I love all my babies. Once you're in my class, once a baby, always a baby. I don't care how old you are. And they know that. My former cheerleaders, they'll respond, hey, coach, on social media, and tag me in different posts. And this week I have had a couple of students tag me, whether they were my college student at Virginia Union or in the public school system, just to say thank you. And that means a lot. So yeah, the impact is definitely there. And we may not see it right then and there, but you just got to trust and believe that as long as you're genuine with how you're, caring and sharing information with others, and you just have good intentions, then you just have to trust and believe and know that one day, everything you said, something will land. It may be 3 months from now, maybe 6 months from now, even with our children. Parenting is hard. It is hard. And it's just like, we may want them to go to the left right now, but they're like, no, because they're independent thinkers. Now I want to go to the right. Okay, well, you're going to have to learn the hard way then, because I tried to tell you go to the left. But since you want to go to the right, it's okay. But eventually, when you get to the left, we'll have that conversation. And they know me. And I do this with my mom, like, yeah, you were right. My mom knew I was going to be an educator when I was in college, thinking I was going to corporate America, and just never made it because I'm a community type of person. I love connecting and giving back. And she called it. I tried to deny it for years, but that's where I am, in the classroom.
I will say that I like the consistency that all of your handles and your website and email address are the same. I will tell you that I like that. I will also say that Adrian kind of stole the thought out of my brain because I was thinking about how powerful your mantra is, your motto, right? And how I wonder sometimes, like when you see people like Angela Davis, right? So Angela Davis has sparked movements all across the world, and she teaches, still. And I wonder, like, about her teachers,
Mhm.
how one person empowered her in one way, and look how many people she's inspired as a result of that. So that's very powerful. I want to thank you for being here with us today. This has been a really great talk. I want to thank Adrienne for not asking you the questions that she knows she's not supposed to ask you. I appreciate her for doing that.
Just text them to me or call me later and ask.
Drama code.
She was probably already planning to do that, but we're gonna let that slide. Okay. So thank you again for being here. You've been so delightful. I love your energy. And also you will appreciate this. So next week, on May 15th, we will have our second child author, Haven McLaughlin, who is our youngest scheduled author and reader. And she will be reading Haven, Please Forgive Me, which is a children's book that she wrote with a member of her family. So we'll be back on Saturday, May 15th at 11:30 a.m. with Haven McLaughlin, and I'll see you on Facebook or on Zoom. The flyer will be up shortly. Thanks, y'all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Sharia. Virtual hugs.
Bye, y'all.